Hey Familia, this is Benjamin, and welcome to Brother Earth, and welcome to the List of Dieg-ICHO! Now, I know this looks a little different, but we can call this the Blonde Edition, alright? Okay, so in today's video, we are going to be talking about my top 10 favorite gangsters in TV and in movies. And almost with perfect timing, YouTube decided they're going to give us a little bit more leeway in videos, so you might hear a little bit more bitch and shit. So, fair warning.
Frankie, I gotta get him to the hospital, home! No, I wanna go to the hospital! People die there!
At number 10, we have Miklo from Blood In, Blood Out. In this movie, Miklo moves to East Los Angeles, California with his cousins after getting into a fight with his dad. His cousins are part of a local gang, Vatos Locos. Soon, Miklo was initiated into the Vatos Locos, and after a gang fight, he shot and killed Spider, the leader of the gang the Vatos Locos had beef with. So, naturally, Miklo went to prison, and he was soon initiated into a prison gang, La Onda. Eventually, he gets out on parole, but life on the outside was just a little hard for him, and he was soon sent back to prison, where he eventually took out the leaders of the other gangs controlling the prison. To keep La Onda apart, the prison officials decided, well, let's just go ahead and send them to prisons around the country. We'll keep them apart. But they didn't realize that Miklo was already ready to enterprise in prison, if you can enterprise in prison. So he made sure that each of them went to a prison and created a chapter of La Onda in that specific prison. And his goal was to make La Onda the biggest gang in all of prisons. So Miklo was a very successful gangster. The next guy we're going to talk about wasn't so successful.
You were saying she had a nice ass.
I was trying to say something positive because she's your friend.
Christopher Maltasanti is the nephew, cousin of New Jersey mob boss Tony Soprano. The thing about Chris is he's actually a part of both of Tony's families. So you follow Chris through his journey from family associate to a made man to capo regime in Tony's family. You also see what happens to a good gangster that just gets into the wrong shit. Eventually, Chris has to be put down in the gangster's version of Old Yeller after Tony realizes he's just not fit to handle the responsibilities that are set for him. But the reason why Chrissy's on this list, and why he is higher than Miklo, is because of the journey. You see his potential. You just want the best for him. And I gotta tell you, when I saw Tony hold Chris's nose until the life went out of his eyes, I was horrified. But that's enough about a failed life. Let's move on to a successful one.
You can act like a man! What's the matter with you?
Number 8. Don Vito Corleone. Vito Corleone was born in Italy as Vito Andolini. And after his family was killed by the local mafia, he made his way to the United States. Being a man with few opportunities but a lot of balls, he was shown the way of the New York Italian mob. After getting revenge on the local mobster and killing the Don that killed his family, he eventually became the most powerful Don in all of New York. At the beginning of The Godfather, you see the respect that everyone has for Don Vito, and he earned it through years of being a relentless leader. He eventually gives the family to his son Michael, and he acts as consigliere, or counselor, to the Godfather, until the end of his life. This counsel helped his son become one of the best mafia bosses in history. Well, in fiction history. So let's go ahead and go down to Boston.
She felt funny. Francis, you really should see somebody.
For number 7, this is Frank Costello from Martin Scorsese's The Departed. Now, Frank Costello is one of the smartest gangsters I've ever seen in a movie. He manipulates everyone, viewer included. Frank Costello grew up in Boston at a time when Irish people were hated in the United States. While he was a good student, the life of crime felt more feasible to him, so he joined the Irish mob and became the boss. Costello befriends a kid, Colin Sullivan, and grooms him to be a mole in the Massachusetts State Police. When Colin grows up and gets into the Special Investigation Unit, a new man joins Costello's gang, Billy Costigan. Only Costigan is actually an undercover cop. So basically we have one guy who's a gangster working for the cops, another guy who's a cop working for the gangsters, and then the main antagonist, Frank Costello. But Frank has something up his sleeve too. Now I already gave you guys a pretty big spoiler on The Sopranos, so I'll let you guys find out what happened, but I will say that I love Frank because he knows exactly how to make himself successful in any situation, no matter who he screws over. And that's a good gangster. Speaking of good gangsters, we have number 6, Julius Winfield from Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction.
Shit, Negro. That's all you had to say.
Pulp Fiction goes through the journey of many characters, but I find Jules is the most interesting. He has a Bible quote memorized, but it's only said before he kills a person. He almost gets killed, but it's a missed shot, so he decides to get out of the life of crime. Finally, in the diner scene, Jules buys his life back from Ringo and Yolanda and leaves the life of crime. Say what you will about Jules, but it seems like life haunted him, much like a deal with the devil. And in his eyes, paying for his life in that diner finished this deal. If you're liking this list of Dieg-ICHO so far, leave us a comment down below. Tell us who your favorite gangster is. Am I wrong? I probably am according to you. Let me know in the comments. And if you're feeling extra generous, leave us a like. That would be awesome. Now let's go ahead and jump back in the video. Alright, and taking it back to television, we have Gustavo Fring from Vince Gilligan's Breaking Bad. Gus was a businessman. He owned Los Pollos Hermanos, a chicken-based fast food chain that looks eerily similar to Twister's. Let's just say that. Gus seems like the everyman, just working his life away to get ahead and make everyone think that he is harmless. He donated to events for the police. He humbly cleaned tables and swept the floors of his restaurant, and he became a fixture in the community. But he was also ruthless. He saved a man's life just so he could torture him for the rest of it. And not only that, when the therapy began working on the mostly lifeless Hector Salamanca, Gus fired the doctor because he wanted Hector to be a potato for the rest of his life. Eventually this came and bit Gus in the ass. Face? Speaking of scars on the face, we have number 4, Tony Montana, Scarface.
What the is wrong with this guy? Am I kidding me or what?
Tony was my first favorite bad guy growing up, and I played the shit out of The World Is Yours on PS2. Tony Montana came to Florida in the 80s as a
Political refugee here, okay?
and went from the bottom up to become a drug lord in Miami. Tony was charismatic and relentless. He knew exactly who he needed to use to get to his next step, and he played them like chess until his anger became too much to handle. And yeah, old Yeller situation again. But the actor that played Tony Montana, amazing actor, Al Pacino. Al Pacino also played the role in my next favorite gangster, Vito Corleone.
But don't ever take sides with anyone against the family again.
Michael was raised to do everything the right way. He was smart, so his dad wanted him to become a senator. But Michael felt the rush of the American dream and he joined the military. He came back home as a military hero, but eventually life as they knew it came tumbling down when Vito Corleone was shot after refusing to involve his family in drugs. With Vito holding on to life on a string, Michael knew that he had to put the balls he gained in military training to the test. After successful assassination, Michael traveled to Italy and Vito's eldest son, Sonny, was set there to take the throne. Sonny was a hothead, and he was massacred by a rival gang. Michael came back from New York. He became the Don of the family, the Godfather, Part 2. Upon Vito's passing, Michael arranged the assassination of every leader in the rest of the 5 families, establishing the Corleones once again as the supreme leaders of the crime world. We continue to see Michael take the Costa Nostra to new heights, and eventually he becomes a fixture in the community. Michael Corleone was an honorable man. But let's go ahead and start talking about a man that wasn't so honorable. So of course that leads us to number 2, Heisenberg.
Now, say my name.
I just said your name.
Right.
Walter White was a man that never fulfilled his true potential, and he was stuck in the rat race of life like a lot of us are. But Walt was fine there. He had an annoying wife, but he loved her. His life was alright. But he was just always kind of a bitch. Then he found out he had lung cancer. He was probably gonna die. At first he needed to find a way to make his money, to pay for treatment, then to give his family to survive without him there. Only this snowballed into him becoming a drug lord with the best product on the market. Now I've never smoked meth, and you shouldn't either, but apparently Walter White's meth was the best meth this side of the Mississippi. Walter White is the smartest man on this list when it comes to academics, but street smarts are what made him meet his demise. Breaking Bad is one of the best shows of all time, and Walter White just shows how the everyman can break bad. And finally, number 1 on this list, we have Tony Soprano.
I'm the one who calls the shots.
Tony Soprano is my favorite fictional gangster of all time. He embodies the spirit of a man who wants to do right for the world, but is held back by his own mental health. Does that sound like someone you know? Yeah, me. And you. And everybody else. That's what makes Tony so relatable. Tony was a gangster who saw a therapist, and he actually used the therapy to become a better father, nephew, and honestly, mostly, mafia boss. His therapist recommended he read The Art of War, and after applying its teachings to his business, he got out of an annoying situation. But that doesn't mean Tony is successful in keeping cool at all times. Tony Soprano is the embodiment of the man who keeps doing bad things, but he thinks that everything he does is actually the right thing to do. The thing about Tony is I got you. And if you've ever seen The Sopranos, that probably just pissed you off. And I apologize, but I just had to mess with you a little bit. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, and if you made it this far, I really hope that you can give us a like, and you can give us a share, maybe a comment, and the most important thing for the YouTube algorithm right now would be for you to subscribe and maybe hit that notification bell. If you can do that for us, we're going to keep making great content for you. I hope it's great. With that being said, I don't know what else to say. I'm starting to trail off again. Hey, brother.